Howdy. This here's Professor UD Guru coming to you from wherever the heck I am. Today's movie is called What Dystopia Means to Me, or How I Spent My Permanent Summer Vacation. Boys with toys will use their toys. I just watched a movie by the Archivist Journal YouTube channel, link in the description, about social credit scores, universal basic income, and stuff like that. The scariest thing he said in his movie, which was a scary movie, the system writes itself. Think about that, but not at bedtime. AI doesn't need to be conscious, diabolical, or scheming, because the corporate structure has no conscience, and many programmers would be absolutely delighted to design the algorithm for evaluating your every move and creating a social credit score out of your daily activities. That would be the next apparent step in social de-evolution. I suggest moving to a third world country with a 12-month growing season. Stop using smartphones, don't own a car, and voluntarily own nothing and be happy, so that when the third world country of your choice catches up with the big boys, by virtually reading your mind and grading you on your daily activities, you'll already kind of be used to owning nothing, being happy, having no privacy. Now that a camera will fit in your left nostril and a microphone is smaller than a wart on the end of your nose, monitoring everything we do is so easy that the tech people are going to do it no matter how anybody feels about it, because they're connected to the corporate structure. And when almost everything you do is online, well, that makes it just that much easier to keep track of everything you do. Are we supposed to worry about this? Are we just supposed to adapt to it? I don't have any answers. I was asking you. The profit of monitoring all human activity is huge, because the technology has become dirt cheap, while the impact of the technology is the exact opposite. Its effect on society and civilization is unfathomable. A surveillance state fuels advertising. So whether the advertiser profits or not, the corporation that sells the advertising rules the world. We're already there, we know that. The corporate structure demands profit while it demeans humanity. Change is going to happen, and if we're honest with ourselves, we will drop the phony optimism and get out of town while we still can. I don't mean move to Mars with Elon. I mean, he can go there if he wants, and sometimes I kind of prefer that he would, although I like Doge. But he's not associated with that anymore, is he? I don't know. Let's just say I gave up driving and moved to the Philippines 21 years ago, watched the amazing 2024 election from the safety of my plastic chair right here in front of this here computer, and I have not regretted leaving the wonderful, wonderful world of the USA, not for one moment, especially when I've gone back to visit, because when prices of everything go out of control and nobody's complaining about it, they're just adapting to it day by day. Ice cream cone, $5, that was 15 years ago. Well, nobody complains about that. a motel room, $125, and that's a cheap motel room. That's 15 years ago. Nobody complains about that. Well, let's just say I'm glad I moved to a third world country where owning nothing is the norm. And yeah, they see my white skin and they think I'm rich. I'm not rich, but my Social Security check supports me here, which it didn't do in America, not by a long shot. I'm still trying to remember what it was like to have hobbies that didn't revolve around a computer. I'm working on it. It's not easy because doing everything on software instead of by the sweat of your brow is fairly addictive. And I just bought my first smartphone this year because I had to. I was forced to. I only use it for texting and for things I'm forced to use it for. The problem with universal income is not just the monitoring or the control. Unfortunately, we can and will get used to that sort of thing. We're already doing so. The real threat from universal income is the rot of the human personality when faced with no important challenges. We need a challenge. If you think narcissists are a dime a dozen now, wait till everyone is raised to be a spoiled brat who has no responsibilities and gets everything he needs. Our great-grandchildren will be born with a plastic spoon in their mouth. The McDonaldization of society is not a thing of the future. It's already been done. It's almost finished. I used to believe in something I called the abundance party, which was basically a thinly veiled form of socialism. The problem with being against socialism, which I currently am, is that the earth does in fact have enough resources to go around. And I don't think very many thinking conservatives are opposed to helping people who actually need help. I mean, empathy is not our goal in life, but there are those exceptional moments when we wouldn't mind helping somebody because they need help, whether it's their fault or not. They need it, let's help them. A lot of conservatives are a lot nicer than you would think. The problem with libtriffids is they don't think, they only emote. The problem with abundance is that it makes people soft, weak, and self-centered. It makes people think they're special. Hover parenting makes children think they're special. Entitled people do not improve their society. They walk around with this angst, this black beast on their back, trying to fix everything based on their emotions. Because every time they squeaked, their parents squawked. Entitled people do not improve their society. They tear it down because they've known nothing their whole lives but entertainment. And inside, they're pissed about that. Because all the fun is taken out of life when everything's easy. For example, I used to be on Ancestry.com quite a bit researching genealogy, my own genealogy here and there, but mostly genealogy of air car inventors because I wanted to do background checks on people who've been dead for 100 years, and Ancestry.com turned out to be a pretty good way to do that. I wanted to know what these people were like. Guys who said, I made a car that can run for 1,000 miles on one tank of compressed air. I wanted to know what they were like as people. So I researched them on Ancestry.com, got totally addicted to genealogy. I love that search engine. And nowadays, if I get on Ancestry.com and search something, never mind. It's not fun anymore because when they figure out what you're looking for, they just spoon feed you all the answers. Oh, I got no use for that. I don't care. It's not the trivia that matters. I don't want the trivia. I want the search. And that's what's wrong with socialism. We want to hunt down our own food. We want to. And that's why all these kids with blue hair are so pissed off because they were raised by boring people in a boring way with entertainment as their only option. They didn't have to work hard. They didn't have to think hard. They didn't have to even play hard. Everything was made easy and convenient for them. And it ruined their lives, and they're pissed about it. Endless entertainment is boring. And as we used to know in the good old US of A, boredom is not what builds character. There will come a time when you and I will not vote for our favorite politician, human politician. We will vote for our favorite AI to make our laws and enforce our laws. And I predict that the next step after that would be no more voting. Idiocracy was not a movie. It was the book of Revelations for a modern audience. But if we do end up with universal basic income, here is how it won't work because humans don't do anything logical. But anyway, here's the only logical or the most logical solution. The Abundance Party. I don't believe in it, but I'm going to tell you what I used to believe in. We all should know by now, and don't know, that all money is loaned into existence. It's not backed by gold or paper or plastic coins made to look slightly like silver or anything else. It's backed by insurance companies, banks, and laws. If a bank has your $10, they can loan it out to 10 different people at the same time. That's why we have insurance companies like FDIC to stand there with their big pockets in case anybody figures this out and goes to the bank to collect their pesos so they can go home and stuff them under their mattress. Your pesos don't do the banks any good stuffed under your mattress. Thus is born the insecurity state. Don't put your pesos under your mattress, by golly, we'll pay interest on that. Let me tell you something about the banks in the Philippines that you probably don't know. Oh my goodness. The amount of interest they pay on a savings account is so incredibly small that you would not believe it. You just would not believe it. Not even close. You wouldn't come anywhere near believing it. You would absolutely have to sit down. That's how surprised you would be if you live in the U.S. Because everyone in the third world countries, they ape the West. They ape the West, but then they tweak it a little bit to their advantage because, a banana republic is a banana republic, and banks stop pretending that they're not loan sharks in third world countries. And I'm saying you should move to one? Yeah. Because you're going to own nothing and you're going to be happy, and it's going to be a lot easier if it's your idea. Anyway, the key point is that money is an illusion. It's all loaned into existence, not backed by anything. I don't have to tell you that this gives banks, insurance companies, mortgage companies, etc., all the power. They get the money first before it hits the money supply and inflates the money supply and raises the price of everything. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. You can watch movies about that all over YouTube. I'm trying to tell you stuff that nobody else is saying. Since money is created out of thin air to supply the banker's interests, Anything like universal basic income should work like this. Should. Notice I said should. Don't try climbing the Great Wall of shoulds. Because when you get to the top, you will find by looking out over it that it is infinitely wide. You could walk around on the top of the Great Wall of shoulds for eternity. It doesn't have another side. So don't bother climbing that puppy. But yeah, there has to be two kinds of money in order for universal basic income to work. There won't be, but this is the only way socialism could even begin to make sense based on what I already said about the erosion of character when we don't have to hunt for our food. There's two kinds of money. One has to be doled out to keep people alive. That's free money. Basic human income. Of course, this won't work because then we're going to argue, well, education is a basic need. Well, no, it isn't. But having a job would be, right? No, not anymore. Oh, my goodness, it gets complicated fast, doesn't it? Anyway, that's free money. You need to eat. You need shelter. You need medicine. That's free money. But the doctors charge too much. Well, this gets really complicated. I don't want to go into the details, all right? The other kind of money you have to work for. You want a better stereo? You want any stereo. You want a TV? Oh, TV is a basic human need. I don't want to get into all that. That's what they're not going to argue about because they're not going to try this. Okay, so never mind. The other kind of money is what you have to work for. The stuff you want versus the stuff you need. There's two kinds of money. Only the universal basic income, and then you can work for the other kind if you want more. You want a nice house instead of a shack down by the river, or live in a van down by the river. Get a job. Start a business. Rob a bank. Whatever you want to do. I can't control that. Anyway, that's the basis of the Abundance Party idea that I was once so fond of. And I lost friends over it. I lost one friend over it. I only had three friends. Well, I had a lot of friends, but they all died. Anyway, because they smoked pot and it made them stupid. So then they started drinking. Or they smoked so much pot that they couldn't breathe anymore. Or they just basically just made stupid decisions till their health eroded into nothing, and there they go. I'm only 70 years old, and most of my friends are dead. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The Abundance Party notion, it will never be adopted because humans don't do much of anything sensible. So by the time we finish degrading ourselves by adopting socialism, it will be a bureaucratic nightmare, as it always is, and a horrific social experiment, as it always is. But like I said, Idiocracy was not a movie. It was the book of Revelations for a modern audience. Thanks for showing up. This here's Professor U.D. Guru, and I'll see you in the next movie. Bye-bye.
I love the things that you've given me, and most of all that I am free to have.